Welcome back to another video. I was watching a movie at the time. I don't remember which movie. I think it had Vin Diesel in it. I really like action. I really like action movies, and thrillers. I like thrillers too, so yeah. I was watching something like that while I was drawing, so I had to edit out a few long pauses where I was probably staring open-mouthed at the TV because that's who I am as a person. But yeah, I just felt like scribbling at the time, so that's what I was doing. You can see some of the ones that I did before I was actually recording, where I would draw a pose and then I would just try to draw it from a different angle, which wasn't going super well, but that's just how it is when you're out of practice. So yeah, and I have to do a lot of drawing to be in practice. I'm sure everyone's heard me say out of practice a lot, and yeah, I'm just not drawing enough to remain warmed up and keep things in my memory that I usually do. That could be muscle shapes or certain shapes I like to use or shortcuts that I fall into whenever I've been doing either a lot of figure drawing or even just drawing figures from my imagination. You can tell on the left there where I was drawing just a basic guy with some really simple ugly shapes that I'm just trying to get back to that point. So yeah, you can see that this isn't running super well, and that's because of me having a movie playing. So I was just watching it on my computer, and then I had it connected up to the TV through an HDMI cable, and that does kind of mess with how this works, but the longer I use it, the more used to that I get, and I can kind of roll with it, I guess. So yep, I just decided to make this little character. So of course I kind of make up a story as I'm going along, and I have so many characters that at any point I can just pull one from the pile and try to draw them or a moment or whatever from their stories. In fact, there's quite a few characters that I have that just came from random scribbling sessions, which is really nice for me. It's very cathartic, so yeah. But at the time, I had been looking at a lot of different scars for references and things. I try to find pictures of actual scars rather than effects makeup and stuff. So that's really hard to dig through with how things are now. A few years ago, it was pretty easy to find what you wanted. People just did this crazy thing by saying real scars and effects makeup. But not anymore. So he is, in this part anyway, just kind of waking up in the hospital. So that's why he's got the little IV thing there. And I do make the line, but I don't make it super neat or anything because it's not all that integral to the sketch. And so he has some burns on the upper side of his body, which I'm making right now. Very, very simply. I actually really like to render out scars. I have since I was younger. I have some very basic scars on my actual body. I have one across my left knee from wrecking my bike when I was 9. I was 9 or 10. But I super wrecked it. And I've mentioned this before. And I've had 2 foot surgeries. So I had one to repair a tendon, and I had one... Oh, and the repairing my tendon was because, 1, I have overpronation in my ankle, and 2, I was getting such horrible foot cramps that it was, swelling up, building scar tissue, and actually damaging my tendon. And in fact, I even remember it's my posterior tibial tendon. Yeah. And then the next one I had, they did a calcaneal osteotomy, which is a fancy way of saying they broke my heel bone and moved it over, and then they put some carpenter screws up through it. So I have a scar on one side of my foot from upper ankle, the inside of my foot, upper ankle all the way down to, I would say mid foot, just wraps around. It's actually kind of neat looking. And then I have another one on my heel on the other side that isn't as big. Yeah, so anyway, I actually paid really close attention to those when they were healing, when I could actually see them, because I'd wear a cast for both of those. Because I really like looking at how scars heal based on how they're sutured. So it's kind of weird, but I just like that kind of thing. So yeah, I paid really close attention to that, and bruising and things like that, so that whenever I draw a character that has those things, I can make them look a little bit more realistic, especially when it comes to the color. I have very, very fair skin. Really, really fair skin. So I kind of end up with, I would say, purple kind of scarring. It's very interesting. And I have siblings that are like very naturally darker skin tone than me, which is super cool because, you know, then we all bruise and scar differently. Not that I want anyone to get hurt, but it's just interesting to study so that you know the way that it's supposed to look. So yeah, that's kind of how I try to do that. I only have a vague memory of what my back looked like whenever I went through a barbed wire fence when I was like 5. So I went off a horse's back. I've mentioned that before too, but if you're new here, hi, what's up? I flew off a horse when I was 5. And scratched my back up pretty bad. And I was very lucky that I was young because it didn't scar for very long, like a couple years, and you can't even tell that I had it anymore. So yeah, but it was pretty rough actually. And I'm lucky that I went straight through and didn't catch on a wire or anything, because I went pretty far. I was sliding through the rocks. Where we were at was really rocky, but I was sliding through the rocks and stuff for quite a while. I ended up with a bunch of dirt and rocks in my underwear. So yeah, went pretty far. So yeah, I just have a vague memory of what that looked like from, I think, looking in the mirror once. I had to have a lot of medicine and stuff on it for a while, but magic. Then for this guy, I wanted something fun, so I thought, okay, I'll draw a character that has interacted with this guy that I don't know, is a little afraid of him. He's someone to be wary around because he goes through a lot of stuff. He doesn't have a lot of self-preservation and not a lot of love for, you know, human life as it is. Not like he's plotting the demise of all of humanity or anything crazy like that. He just has been through a lot of crap in his life, and the sensitivity to that is kind of, you know, gone. So I thought how fun it would be to have maybe a bit of a sheltered scientist, very cliche, reacting to him. So that's where this guy came in. And I had fun drawing him. Very simplified. I've been messing around in this style a little bit. I change stuff up a lot. It's just more comfortable for me that way. I don't think there's anything wrong with changing your style based on how you're feeling personally. I mean, unless obviously you have to do it a certain way for a job or whatever. I would not know much about that, to be honest. Like, speaking at my butt there. But, yeah, I enjoy doing that. It actually makes me feel better when I'm having a hard time drawing something else. If I just switch styles or whatever, when I come back to the other thing, I usually feel better about the study or the practice or whatever. So there are times when I think it's important for me to stay within my comfort zone, and there are times when it's better to really push myself to do a better job at something else. Sorry, this is the point where I start watching the video, not focusing on what I'm saying. And I'm very tired. I'm sure everyone gets sick of hearing that, but the insomnia for months and months is bringing me to my knees here. I can barely remember anything. It's kind of ridiculous. In fact, I was supposed to do this voiceover yesterday when I had time, and I spaced it, and then it was the evening, and I did not have time anymore. But it was okay, because I sat and watched my sister play a game for a while. We haven't played anything together in a super long time. But, yeah. I was watching her play Witchwood. Originally, I was kind of thinking I was going to leave this sketch even more simplified. Like, not finish out a leg, not finish out the feet, kind of thing. And then, I thought that was dumb. I'm like, maybe you should actually show people something a little bit more finished, because I'm horrible about a sketch as a sketch. If I wanted to finish it, I have all the information there to do that, but I don't think everybody's used to seeing it, and definitely not my stuff. I mean, I have some time lapses on this channel of finished things that I've done on, Procreate or whatever, designs for our Etsy business, but if you're not familiar with those and this is the first thing that you're seeing, yeah, you're not gonna have any idea that I can finish things. It takes a lot more effort. It's not my favorite thing in the world all the time. I'm not big on painting very often. I really enjoy sketching and inking. Those are my favorite things, but yeah. Toning's not too bad. Black and white's fine. I enjoy that. I like monochromatic things. Basically, I'm very annoying. But yeah, we're getting close to the end here, and I do realize I left it a bit sketchy, but I think it has plenty of information. So, yeah, it's fairly readable. And I had fun making it and watching a movie. I really like movies. I haven't watched a lot of movies lately, and that is sad. So yeah, here is the finished drawing. I wish I would have gone through the rest of them. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought. I very much appreciate you. Have a good day or night, and bye.